Okay, good evening. Welcome to UltimateProject19. Today we're going to look at another one of the Ultivillage 2011 Elite Team Partnership videos. This one's Sockeye versus Ironside from 2011 ECC. For those of you who don't know, Sockeye is the men's team from Seattle and Ironside's from Boston. So Ironside wins this game 13-10, and let's take a look at the stats. So Sockeye has 188 passes with 19 turnovers, so round about 90%. Ironside has 194 passes with 16 turnovers, which is going to put them a little over 90%. But I don't think either team's going to be really happy when they see the 16 or the 19 turnovers. And as I've mentioned in all the prior videos, the vast majority of these turns are unforced. There's a few ones that different people are going to view differently in terms of, was the turn caused by the defense or the offense? And there's a couple of nice defensive plays, particularly by Seth Reinhardt from Ironside. But, even, not to take anything away from Seth at all, because those are great defensive plays, but the throws were terrible. So, it's hard to say exactly how many of these are blocked by the D or caused by the D, but the vast majority are unforced. So let's take a look at what happens after these turns. So after the Sockeye turns, Ironside has a long field 14 times and converts 5 of them. We've seen earlier this in other one of these ETP games, we've seen Double Wide convert 6 out of 8. We've seen Revolver convert 6 out of 8. So 5 out of 14 is not going to cut it. And on the medium and short fields, they had 4 out of 5, which is pretty good. But it does, say one thing to Sockeye. You gave Ironside 5 golden opportunities and basically 4 goals for free. After Ironside turns, Sockeye converted 3 out of 11. Again, not very good at all, particularly compared to 6 out of 8 from Revolver and Double Wide. And I assume both of those teams are going to continue to improve throughout the season. For the medium and short turns, Ironside also gave Sockeye 5 gifts. Sockeye converted 3 out of the 5, so not quite as good as Ironside and not as good as they'd like to be, but both teams are happily giving the other team the disc in this game. Again, and this is early season, so you hope the teams are going to improve after this, but for neither one of these teams, I think, are going to be satisfied with how they're playing here, even taking early in the season as an excuse. So, as I highlighted in the Ironside Revolver game, let's take a look at the Hucks and see what we can learn from them. So let me put those up on the screen. Okay, so as with the Revolver Ironside game, I went back and looked at the Huck attempts individually and the completions. So Sockeye completed 4 out of 13 Huck attempts, and Ironside completed 4 out of 12 Huck attempts. If you watch this game, so I guess you'll see 25 Huck attempts. Both teams are more than happy to put the disc in the air when someone's running deep. And as with Ironside's stats in the Revolver game, their completion rate, in this case for both teams, is horrendous. Both of these teams are going to have to take a real hard look at this game, and to tell you the truth, a real hard look in the mirror, because I'm not sure what's going on in their minds when they see some of these deep cuts and put up these throws, because as you can see, they're not even close. They're just absolutely not even close. So, they got to get those Huck attempt numbers up at their next tournament. I assume for Sockeye that'll be Labor Day, and Ironside, well, Ironside's next tournament's this weekend in the middle of a hurricane, so it might be harder to say. But both of these teams got to think about this very, very seriously. Okay, and find ways to improve. So let's go. I got 2 other things I want to talk about quickly in this game. The next thing, sort of, one of the critical points in the game, which is the 6th point of the game. All right, let's take a look at the start of the game. In the first 5 points, Ironside has 3 unforced turns. really bad turns. No other way to put it. Sockeye is up 4-1, pulling. The beginning of the 6th point, another unforced turn from Ironside. So at this point, Sockeye, can really go for the kill. Instead, they fall into the same trap that I talked about with double wide on a quick turn in the beginning of their game, where they rush. There's no need to rush here. You've got the disc to go up 5-1. Instead, they run to the disc. They throw basically 4 swing passes and a huck. And so I don't know why you need to rush to throw 4 swing passes. Set your O. But they rush and miss a huck. Ironside gets the disc back. Gives them another gift. Unforced turn. Sockeye rushes again. You'll see somebody running back upfield to get the disc. Boom, boom, trying to get it. They get into this messed up, O down by the end zone. Although they eventually end up in a nice position. I think it's Tim Garrett who gets the disc, and they end up, not by design, or maybe a little bit by design, but they could have been there a lot sooner. They end up in a nice end zone O. But then somebody, and I don't know who, has a horrible hammer turn. Again, you've got Ironside, down on the mat here, and you're throwing stuff like that. Well, lucky for Sockeye, Ironside comes right back with another turn. And this time, Sockeye takes their time. You'll see the camera cut, you'll see Tim Garrett walking the disc up. And this is nice. I wrote it down as 10:38 one time and 10:58 another time, so I'm not exactly 100% sure of the time. But you'll see Tim Garrett walking up, he swings the disc, comes across the field, throws a nice goal. This is Sockeye's best offensive point of the game. And it comes when they finally slow things down, and they do end up 5-1, but it's not without a couple really bad turns. So they had a chance to put him away, and I think this really let him back in the game, because let's look at what happened in the next 6 points. So the reason I think that 6th point was so critical is because Sockeye really lost their concentration, and they didn't really get it back. The next 6 points, 8 turns, 7 unforced. And Ironside, after the 12th point, it's tied at 6s. Now, but the reason I want to point out this next part of Ironside's turns, in those same next 6 points, Ironside has 5 turns, all unforced. All unforced. So Ironside's not playing any better than they played in the first 6 points. When Sockeye went up 5-1. It's just that Sockeye, after that 6th point, things fell to pieces. And it was those two real mental letdowns on the first Ironside turns that I think started this spiral. Now remember, Sockeye's up 5-1 and they lost 13-10. So, things really went bad for them. In fact, to end the game, Sockeye's 5 of the last 6 possessions Sockeye had ended with turns. So, things just kept going downhill from here for Sockeye. Ironside turned it around a little bit, but not really that much. Alright, so I want to point out just a few things for Sockeye to work on and to look out for in the game, and then we'll be done. Okay, so I want to point out 3 places where I think it's useful to take a look at Sockeye's O. I mean, it's useful for them to take a look at too, but useful for anyone sort of looking at this. I mentioned that when they score on the 6th point, starting around 10:34, I think. Patience. They set up their O. There's very good positioning downfield, and they score easily. So you can see from here that Sockeye has it in them, to have really efficient O, and take a look at good hucks and have good execution and all that. Unfortunately, for Sockeye, you don't see that too much else, or you don't see it too many other places in the game. But I think it's good to look at it there and see how they can build on that, and it helps show why some of the other hucks are not set up very well. Now, a different problem they have is on the 13th point, which starts around 23:06 in the film. They take about 21 passes to score. So it's one thing that's good is they show a lot of patience here. But much like I commented about Johnny Bravo's O against double wide, the O is just lost here. And it's early season and everything, but I think if I were working with Sockeye, I would sit down and really go through that point and try to figure out what are we trying to do on O, and why wasn't it working here? Because they don't want to get down to Sarasota and have points like that. There was no flow. You know, good for them, they ended up scoring, but it took them a long time. Another time when they had a really bad offensive breakdown is right around 15:54. The disc is on the sideline, actually up by the goal. They're attacking, and basically the whole team ends up running right at the thrower. And I'm pretty sure there's a turn here, but this is a you know, it's actually good for sort of college teams or beginning teams to take a look at this, because everyone struggles with this, even teams like Sockeye, who's one of the best teams around. You get the disc sort of caught on the sideline up near your goal, and all the cutter's natural instinct is to try to go get the disc, and it just creates real bad problems. So again, it's instructive to see the top teams suffer from this problem. If you're Sockeye, I think you want to take a real hard look at that again and say, what are we trying to do in this situation? Because it's not what happened, that's for sure. What are you going to try to do? What do you want to do in that situation, and what went wrong, and how can we prevent that from happening? Because when you get in trouble on the sideline, often, you know, as here, it ends up as a goal, or as a tournament. So, thanks for watching this. As always, I'm really excited about what Ultivillage is doing here, and thanks to Patagonia and Discraft for supporting it. I think this is going to be the last one I do for a while. Unfortunately, Ultivillage just announced today that they're not going to go to Chesapeake because of the hurricane. So they'll be at Labor Day, and so I think I'll start taking a look at some of the videos after Labor Day, and really looking forward to that. I mean, should be some great games there. Okay, thanks for watching.